lunatics fly high. The devil's playing cat and mouse. Spiders come to life. So say goodbye to all the promises we said. And say hello to the voices in my head. 'Cause I can't remember your name. And
Non-stop rock talk with Tyson Bryden. Welcome to Non-stop Rock Talk. I am your host, Tyson Bryden. On today's show, I'm very happy to welcome Keith, Mike, and Greg of LA band Desert Dragon. Welcome, guys. How are you doing?
Good.
Hey. Cool. Let's rock, man.
Awesome. So getting right down to it, possibly I can get a little back history on Desert Dragon for my listeners that may not be familiar with the band's work.
Okay. Basically, it's been around since about 2011, and been a few changes in the band and stuff. But we've had a bit of a holding pattern getting this album out, but we finally made it, with all the COVID and different people's schedules and everything. But it's, I think this latest album is really great, and definitely a little different than the last one. And it's really great to have the guys I have, on board, playing, doing what they do and doing it well. And it really shows, I think, on the CD.
Yeah. I listened to it today, and it sounds fantastic. As I was telling you guys before we started, I'm really digging it. So I'm sure I will listen to it much more, and I will probably try and buy a physical copy as well, because I realize I understand there are physical copies. Sometimes you have to ask that because nowadays, sometimes there aren't physical copies, right?
Right. This one, we have physical CDs. They're out there.
And the cover looks amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right on. Well, that was mostly Greg's concept, man. Greg,
right.
Are we on that one?
Yeah. Basically, I go, well, we got to have some sort of artwork. So I'm thinking what would be kind of cool is to tie at least some of the songs into the picture. And I always dug this picture. If you remember, maybe when you're kids, they had this picture. It was a black light poster that had a bunch of dogs around a poker table, drinking beer and smoking a cigar, playing cards.
Yep.
And I thought, well, what about that picture? But switch those guys out to different things in the songs. For instance, the dealer is the Swamp Thing. One of the players is the Desert Dragon. Then there's a guitar player, and then the girl there is Marilyn Monroe, which kind of goes with that song "Miss America." God bless Miss America, and then. Which Keith did a lot of stuff on that one. And then if you look up at the right on top of one of the slot machines, there's a vulture, and that's from Vulture City, which is kind of Mike's animal that he brought in. And then being in a casino, that's our part of like bad luck, so if you will. And That's about all I think, all the songs that we brought in to that picture.
That's cool. Now, is it only available on CD? It's not on vinyl?
Not on vinyl yet, no. But if I get some interest in that, I'm gonna print some up.
Yeah, it sounds like one of those covers you want to see on vinyl, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Agreed.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
But, it is on wax drum right now for those out there with a wax drum player. We are the Desert Dragon, so we do things a little differently.
Right.
That was good. Now,
it's the Go GT. But,
that's awesome. Now, what about the origin of the name itself, Desert Dragon? It's kind of an interesting name, and I kind of did read about how it all came together. And it may be a little unexpected to people that don't know.
Yeah, well, Desert Dragon, the two words from like the dragon is, I was looking at a poster. I was trying to think of a name for a band, and I looked at this poster, and it had Jimmy Page's like pants that he wore on stage. It has this embroidered like Chinese dragon on the leg, and I go, well, that's cool, dragon. But then dragon's kind of like not much really going with that. I need something adjective to describe the dragon. And so I thought about a lot of things. And then one day I was playing Desert Plains by Judas Priest on Point of Entry. And I go, desert. Okay, desert dragon. Okay, that's rolls off the tongue. Kind of good. Let's go with that.
That's cool. And there was the name.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Right on.
Yeah. Now, Keith, many people probably know you from Burning Rain, Montrose, Lynch Mob, Kingdom Come, and Raiding the Rock Vault. And I also believe you sang on a Medicine Wheel album years ago as well. Yeah,
wow. Nobody in the Desert Dragon interviews yet has mentioned Medicine Wheel, but that's worthy of honorable mention. I did, that was Mark Ferrari's band.
Yeah.
Mark Ferrari was the guitar player for Keel when Keel was in its day. And the next band he started recording with was Medicine Wheel. And that was a fun album. We did it in LA, and we did it after sort of the transition to grunge already happened. So, a lot of the guys who are, metal guys and whatnot out in LA, but still wanted to move forward, with a recording, with a band. Let's get a band together and get a musical career. We were sort of trying to figure out, how are we going to do this and, keep our kind of metal chops going and stuff, right? Like, and these guys this batch of fine young gentlemen were kind of that way. And, but you had your Alice in Chains who was making big noise back then. It wasn't really doing the Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana, Veruca Salt, et cetera, kind of the new pop grunge. So I think that record intended to kind of go in that sort of Alice in Chainsy direction. Although my head, because I grew up on the Beatles as a young lad, and there was a lot of Beatles kind of in the new, the beginning of the grunge thing. And so, it's that as well as a pretty eclectic sounding album. I say as well, because this Desert Dragon record is a very eclectic album for me. I mean, I came across these guys and their sort of initial demos of these songs, and I listened to them, and I was really kind of surprised because, there was a lot of this and that from different styles of music, which I hadn't really heard since kind of like, the 60s and 70s music, which was being written by guys that didn't grow up on rock and roll because there was no rock and roll, right, with like these little classical pieces in the middle and this little jazzy piece and chords you wouldn't normally hear, on a rock album. So, and it's funny you brought up Medicine Wheel because, that was kind of a diverse group of guys too, all coming from a different sort of kettle into this pot. And that's what we got, I think, with this Desert Dragon record. And like Greg said, it was kind of it was a longer labor of love than I think we planned on. But at the end of the day, after revamping and, throwing out this bridge and trying this and trying, a different mixer and a different, all kinds of stuff, different musicians on different tracks and bringing in, 20 different guest players, we finally got, I think, a fairly good representation of the songs, which wasn't easy because the songs really sometimes go out on a limb. You say you listened to the record just now. So, I mean, you probably heard, some of these intros and, or, middle sections that just go off into this artsy, maybe at times progressive tangent, and
that's kind of what that was one of the things that really popped out to me was that there was these intros and it was an eclectic mix of, it's different than what you would say you would do in Burning Rain, which is kind of straight ahead and, that's you and Doug's vision of how Burning Rain is, right? And this is a little different.
Well, sure. I mean, in its genre, which is maybe in a more narrow box than, this kind of a record that we did here. it's got its identity too. You know, when you hear Doug's guitar and his style's a riff, I mean, it's him pretty much right away.
Yeah.
But yes, we do stay in a more specific format generally, and our branch outs aren't as far and deep as these.
Yeah.
You know, I get that for sure. And, you know, because some of these songs in the Desert Dragon record, you might say, well, you know, that could have been on a Free record, you know, or, you know, that one could have been on a Scorpions record. You know, it's just they're very different. But, you know, since it's one voice throughout and the instrumentation, the sounds of the guitars and whatnot are similar. You know, it still sounds cohesive as a band all the way through. You know, it still sounds like Desert Dragon and it's identifiable. But yeah, no, that was one of the things that attracted me to working together with Mike and Greg and the other guys is because it had such a cool, very, how would you say it? Like the bases of music, you know, sort of the grounding of like when you listen to some of that, you know, mid-Beatles stuff with all that George Martin stuff. And, you know, I grew up on classical music and Broadway and traditional music. So hearing that kind of stuff and having the opportunity to sing rock with that kind of canvas, you know, was really intriguing to me. And that's kind of why I, you know, was passionate about doing it from the beginning.
Yeah. And I mean, when you listen to the leadoff single, Lock and Load, I mean, you do immediately hear your vocal stylings, of course. I mean, you're going to sound like you.
Sure.
But in parts, there's kind of like a Zeppelin thing as well that I heard in that I could, and I loved that. It's like, oh man, that's killer. And
sure.
And so it's got that total classic vibe, but there's also a few interesting bits of instrumentation. The sax is a cool touch in the beginning.
Oh, absolutely. The beginning, you know, Michael and I think I could speak for Michael on this too, because we talked about it so many times. You know, we kept encouraging Greg because that song's kind of his baby. We kept encouraging him, hey, you know, all that intro stuff, man, let's just, you know, forget it. Let's just come in when the guitar riff comes in and rock out. And Greg just like, he kept on, he put his foot down and he wrote it all the way down to the end. And, you know, it really is a great piece of work the way it is. You know, I got to applaud Greg for sticking with that because sometimes he has these visions and, you know, that intro has like, you know, an essence of like ELP about it and like you said, with the sax, maybe a little Pink Floyd stuff in there. And you're like, you know, and then with the video, you know, it's the landscape and the sun rising. So you're like, you know, where is this going? You know, this is sort of rock. We hear these big with the band in the background, but then this very ethereal Pink Floydy thing. And this Barry sax comes through with this lead. And then you're riding that down, you're getting used to that. Then all of a sudden out of nowhere, now this sort of deep purple rock guitar comes out and starts this new riff and hits this song. And you're like, wow, okay, this is like old album rock the way, you know, we used to listen to this stuff when everyone had the patience to, you know, so if that's
that saxophone, that was actually Michael Forbes. And he had actually one gig down in Orange County, actually played with David Gilmour.
Cool.
So
there is a connection.
That's pretty cool. So, I mean, I always say that there needs to be more sax in rock again.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, in the 80s, it was such a big thing. You know, like you had those just, you know, like Springsteen and those straight ahead rock bands that use sax. And then it's kind of gone by the wayside.
Sax and violins.
That's right.
All right. Well, he said there needs to be more sax and rock. Say that 10 times.
I'm not saying that.
See what happens.
Oh, that's too funny. Now,
where are we? Are we in Canada today?
We are. Yes.
Right on.
Yeah, we are in Toronto.
Hey.
Yeah.
A boot.
Beautiful. What city are you in?
I'm just outside of Toronto, Keith. About
nice.
40 minutes. Yeah.
That's Rock City. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it,
yeah. Do you get up? Do you get up here much?
Well, not recently, not since you know, not during COVID or since, but you know, there's been some tours we, you know, go up and hit a few a few more of the club tour thing I've done up there. Not any big arenas really, but it's nice up there. I love it up there in the summer.
In the summer, we were just talking about the weather.
Freezing here right now, right?
Yeah. It's not too freezing to us, but to you guys, it would be freezing.
But your nights are probably below 30 at this point, right?
Yes. Yeah. Wow. And you said 30. It'd be for us is 0. Yeah. It's because we're in Celsius, right? It's so confusing. It is so confusing. I was just in Pittsburgh a week ago, and it's
heat wave.
No, it was freezing there. I went to the Steelers game. It was freezing. And, but it's awesome because, like your vehicle, you have to change from kilometers to miles per hour. And it's great that you can actually do that on your vehicle, right? Because I don't want to get a ticket.
Of course.
Yeah, right.
Of course.
Right. Because then you look down.
Pennsylvania cops aren't fun. Those guys in Ohio, they'll just pull you over just for the hell of it because they ran out of cheeseburgers and they got nothing to do.
Exactly. So you just put on set the cruise control and you're good. But
cruise control is a great invention, man.
It is.
That's the only thing that stops my heavy foot on these trips when I drive from Vegas back to LA because there's nobody on the road.
Yeah. No wonder.
In the middle of the night when I drive out there, if all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm doing 110. Damn it.
Yeah.
So the cruise control will bring me down.
Yeah, and I'm the same too. I have a lead foot, so and the thing I find with miles per hour is it's a little bit tougher because you have to, with kilometers, it's easier to decipher. Like our speed limit's 100 kilometers an hour, you can do 120, and the cops won't pull you over. But like in miles per hour, you have to be really, really careful where you set that cruise control. Yeah.
Well, we generally have that too, and I guess it's usually 15.
Is it?
Miles per hour, yeah.
No, that's not bad.
Next time you're driving down the States, generally, if it's 70, they'll give you 84, no problem, no questions asked at all. If you start cruising up about 88 at that point, maybe they'll like you, maybe they won't.
Yeah. Well, I like those states that are 70 miles per hour, though. Some of them are.
Right.
Right, which is great. So. Now, getting back to music, sorry, guys. Now, as I said, I did take a listen to a few of the tracks. The opener, Bad Luck, again, 70s bluesy vibe. I'm kind of curious, Keith, of your approach vocally. Was there anything you wanted to do differently that you hadn't done before?
Not really. I'm just in the moment with the songs. My vibe is... and I think it always has been, well, not always, but after I learned myself a little better, I like to throw tracks up with the mic on and hot and sing as I hear it for the first time. And, that track, Bad Luck, to me, just what popped out is one of the more true blue kind of vibes for the album, I thought. That vocal to me just goes with that riff. It works. They marry together the way they should. And once in a while, you have influences, and you think once you hit a note a certain way, you go, oh man, that sounds like an Ian Gillan thing, or that sounds like a Paul Rogers, or that sounds like an old Steven Tyler thing, which maybe Bad Luck kind of gave way to a little bit, and then you ride that curve and you go, wow, that really, really works for this song. And then those guys, Greg and Mike, they'd hear stuff. And that particular one, I think they liked that one on the first draft. And we all did and went, okay, cheers, let's do this.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like that. I don't really come into an album per se or a new band thinking, well, I haven't sang, F sharp above high E. Let me get that onto this album, sort of thing. It's just kind of working for the song.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you guys? Did you guys have an approach, like knowing Keith? I'm sure you had known his work in the past. Were you guys kind of like, okay, this is let him kind of do his thing? And
Mike, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I would say that's very true. We had, because this whole album had like ideas for lyrics and melodies, and Keith did a totally different approach. What he did was he just like, let me start from scratch. Like he said, he put on those things, and the first thing that came that's where he started from. The first thing, that emotional thing, was how does this track hit me as a vocalist? So that's how he approached it. And some of them were surprisingly improvements over what Greg and I had come up with, especially Bad Luck. I mean, he turned that into a really fun song. It was a very downer song beforehand, and he turned it into something that it has a darkness to it. Of course, it's about a guy failing, but it's a fun song. It's got a good vibe. And like he said, there's a Steven Tyler kind of vibe going on there where he's, just throwing the stuff out. And one of the other ones was a song that I had written. Actually, I'd written it before I was in Desert Dragon, called Vultures. It was called Vultures Are Circling. And Keith got a hold of it and he turned it into something that was clever and funny, which my original didn't have. So he came up with a whole different vibe. And I love that song, the way he did it. And even the first time I heard it, I was laughing my head off because there's the part in the third verse where he kind of channels Jim Morrison a little bit, which is an interesting, you wouldn't expect Keith to do that. And it's really funny. There's a lot of humor in the way he did that song, the choice of words he used and the whole vibe. And it's a very serious look also, even though it's funny, it's a serious look at Hollywood and the entertainment business, how we're just, we go in there and we're cattle for the slaughter. And I think he captured the cattle for the slaughter idea really well in kind of a really clever kind of goth sort of way. So I love this song. So that's a good start there.
It's a great lead-off track.
Yeah.
I will say that. Yeah. Really great lead-off track.
All the stuff he did was good. So
now, God Bless Miss America, which I think has a very Beatles-esque type of vibe to it. I mean, it's hard not to pull that out of that song. Maybe you guys can tell me a bit about that one. And it's got the Lord's Prayer in a section of it, in the middle of it as well, does it not?
Go ahead.
Right. The guitar track that did that piece that goes under the sort of, like you said, it's kind of like FDR's speech, back on in the old, whatever kind of radio they had back then,
Right. Yeah.
If it's not what you can do for your country and blah, blah, blah. It kind of has that vibe of somebody up on a soapbox, but then there's this sailing guitar going under it and doing this sort of, you guys had a name for it, Greg and
eulogy.
And Mike. There was a name.
The eulogy.
Eulogy section.
The what?
It was the eulogy.
That was called the eulogy
because
section.
it didn't have lyrics. It was just instrumental, and Keith put the lyrics on it.
Yeah, so it's I kind of like oddities, especially when we're drawing from this and that. Mm-hmm. The mid, you mentioned the Beatles, Tyson, and the mid to late Beatles. They did a lot of interesting stuff, and since I heard all that as a little kid, it's just all somewhere there in the brain. So maybe it's something Lennon would have done. All of a sudden after a verse with a harmony and all these pretty strings, just bust into like a speaking pre-chorus, it's just spoken with that guitar eulogy under it. And then the chorus comes in and it's a big major to minor hook, kind of an ELO. The ELO version of the Beatles meets, the Grand Illusion by Styx. It's got that big, giant, sort of grandiose boom, harmony infested thing with power guitars. You just have to hear it, man. I took a little bit more of the lead on that song. I think as Mike took more of the lead on Vulture City and Greg did on Lock and Load, we kind of divided those three tunes and said to each other, well, you've really got a sneaker for this one and you for that one. So let's just let each other make the final call on a song on the record, on everything. And it was kind of Michael on that and Greg on that and me on Miss America. And I got to say, God Bless Miss America was maybe the last song, one of the last songs we were trying to get together in the mixing room. And there's a lot of complexities to it that maybe, got shifted, as we were trying to mix it, because certain things we just kind of ran out of time were maybe a little bit too difficult to put together. So we sort of simplified some of the strings and this and that. And just like any piece of art, anything Picasso did, anything Beethoven was writing. I mean, he could have kept writing and he could have kept working on it and refining, but the king needs this tomorrow. So
right.
This is how it is. This is where the palette's at, and that's probably true of any of the songs on the record. It's a snapshot of where the evolution of the song was at the time, and all the writers out there know exactly what I'm talking about, and the painters and all the artists. So God Bless Miss America is had many sort of incarnations, but the one on the record, I think, is a really good representation, and I think we're pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, you guys sound excited about it, which is cool. That's great to hear. Right?
Oh,
Well, it's a big departure from the rest of the record, and there's a few songs on the record like that are just
ambitious.
Holy cow! I didn't hear anything like that.
Yeah. Now, Swamp Thing sounds just as the title states. It's earthy and it's swampy, and it has cowbell.
Yes.
right.
Thank you.
Cowbell.
Thank you for the
And
cowbell.
I did add a lot more cowbell.
I love it. You gotta love cowbell. You gotta have cowbell. But
I told the mixer when we were mixed, I go, can I get a little bit more cowbell?
who doesn't love cowbell? Now,
Right?
exactly. Now, the Swamp Thing, I'm kind of listening to that chorus and I'm like, okay, is this more of a creature thing or could this be more metaphoric?
I would say metaphoric.
Yeah.
That was kind of my take from it, but I had to ask.
Yeah.
I think one of the earlier incarnations had references to what we have come to known as the swamp in political circles. And I think that's what I had referenced to the swamp creature was kind of that sort of thing. So
Right.
yeah, that there is a little bit of metaphor. And Keith brought up a really good a line in there that the monster is in effect all of us. We're a little bit of that monster. We have that in it, and we are the monster too. So that was something that Keith brought in that was very bright, a really good thing to bring in there.
That's cool.
That we're the Swamp Thing too. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
They,
And,
they
you know,
keep saying that I'm the swamp thing, that I look like
Well,
the Swamp Thing.
for the video,
for the video.
Greg's going to be
Right.
the Swamp Thing.
That's awesome. Now, South Side of Heaven is interesting because first and foremost, the title of the album is This Side of Heaven. So I'm just wondering, was there some kind of theme or take on the song or the album title? Was that kind of amalgamated together, or did it just kind of work out that way?
Well,
I the way I look at it is basically, heaven's different to a lot of different people. So you can kind of take it for, what it's worth and what that side of heaven means to you. So, it's as you take it sort of thing is, that's the way it is. But other people might have, different thoughts. But what do you think, Mike?
well, the first song that Greg and I started when this project started all the way back in 2017 was something that Greg had titled South Side of Heaven. And that was, he had the opening section and we started writing from there. And so South Side of Heaven was a reference to being in hell. And so you can look at that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you can look at that line, this side of heaven could mean in a positive, it could be a funny thing like that's this side of heaven. It's something good, or it could be something really bad. So it's just how you look at things. I think that's what the title kind of means, this side of heaven. It depends on the mood of when you say it. It could be good, or it could mean something
Right.
really hellish. So it's kind of got a dual meaning there.
Well, I kind of like it because it made for a good question for me, because I was
Absolutely.
I was curious, right?
Well, Led Zeppelin played with that stuff a little bit, and so did a bunch of bands back in the 70s and 60s. They have a record called Houses of the Holy, and I don't know if the song Houses of Holy is on that record.
No,
That might
is
be
it?
on a different
it's on
record.
Graffiti, I think.
There's graffiti.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
right.
something.
That's right.
I mean, you know, and the Beatles played with, you know, all kinds of stuff between their lyrics and their album titles, and I mean, it's another area for your art to trickle into. You know, your album titling and the covers and these things. You know, it's you know,
Yeah,
and to
and-
be creative in that level is also part of, I guess, where Desert Dragon is kind of a throwback in time a little bit as a vibe and a band and stuff.
Yeah. And
Some deep thought.
you kind of missed that a little bit, like, because as you were talking about the album cover previously, it goes, okay, this goes with this, and this is what you know, this part of the album cover is, and which is cool, which doesn't happen a lot anymore, unfortunately.
Right.
Unfortunately. So kudos to you guys. I think that's amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. I mean, what are you saying? If in fact you do interpret the title of South Side of Heaven, if you interpret, you know, South being, as you look at the globe down, okay, so
Yeah.
South Side of Heaven must be underneath, that's hell, right? And so then you're saying this side of heaven, this is what we're presenting. Okay, so are you guys in hell and saying we're here and you're
Yeah.
listening to, you know what I mean? It just kind of leads to what the hell are these guys talking about, which is what you should do. In
Exactly.
art,
Did you
know?
guys actually have conversations about this?
We did. And we had some conversations about the album title. You know, the South Side of Heaven song, as Michael said, was titled, you know, a long time before that. And
Right.
we sat around chewing the fat, like, what exactly does that mean? You know, a few times on that one. For
I
sure.
love it. I love it. Now, pictures in a magazine. What's a magazine these days? I mean, they still exist, but how many people actually read them? I mean, is there some kind of nostalgia thing in that title?
I wouldn't say it's nostalgia, but, you know, it sucker punches you later. The reveal, just as in some of the other tunes, I forget what tune you were talking about a few ago. The reveal doesn't come until the breakdown verse, you know, later on, like, you know, I think it's after the guitar solo, when you finally realize this whole story that this guy's been telling, you know, like that Kevin Spacey movie, they're all words on the wall.
Right.
He was actually just reading a magazine, and, you know, the inspiration for the title was, you know, the dude was, you know, looking at pictures in a magazine, not just telling a real life story, which is the way it seems from the beginning, you know, like,
Yeah.
it just seems like a regular kind of, you know, like a sort of Don Henley, like drama pop song. And then it comes to that point and you go, oh, okay. She was just a picture in the magazine while he's like riding on the subway or whatever, kind of a thing.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah, it's just
That's cool.
it's more about the twist, I guess, that song.
Yeah.
Than really a throwback to nostalgia. You know, we're old, man. Magazines, we still think about, you know, magazines and television sets and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
that stuff winds up in the songs.
Yeah,
Classic
Maybe
rock,
that's great
maybe.
for really young people who hear it because they're like, magazine, mommy, what's that?
well, that's what I was alluding to. Like, younger people are like, magazine. What's that?
Yeah.
Can I get that on my phone or on my tablet? Can I look at that?
Right.
Right. What's this?
Why do they have to put it on paper?
Yeah. Why is it on paper? Exactly. And that was my initial thought, because I'm thinking,
Right.
magazine. Like, you know,
Killing the trees. And are these pages organic?
that's right. Yeah, exactly. But you think of lyrics 30 years ago, when there was, you know, like pop culture of stuff that was going on 30 years ago, and you listen to it now and you go, what's that? Or now you listen to somebody and someone says, call me on my cell phone, or just something as simplistic as that. But it's like 30 years ago, that wouldn't have been a lyric,
Right, of course.
right?
Yeah.
It's, I mean, it's funny how music evolves into that pop culture at times. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, and then, you know, the smarter people, you know, didn't allude to the technology of the time. You know, Blondie just said, call me.
Call me. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
Right.
on the cell phone,
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
on the walkie-talkie. It could just be like this, whatever we're doing here.
Exactly. Or someone saying, "Oh, you're blowing up my phone." Like 30 years ago, no one would have said that, right?
Right.
It's just
Right.
it's fun. To me, sometimes when I hear those lyrics, I almost think I'm like, that's the only thought you had to put into the lyric. It just kind of seems strange to me a little bit.
Kind of right. Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I think it's important to have something to say.
Yeah.
You know, and there's, you know, a lot of bands get together and, you know, whether they're young or older or whatever, or just starting out, people want to be in bands and people want to put cool chords and drums and rock music together. And then sometimes it's oddly enough, it seems like the lyrics have to be more crafted, you know, after the fact of, okay, we got a band, we got this going, you know, we'll just kind of craft these lyrics and as a medium to have a vocalist sing over. And you know, there's a lot of mediocre art over the last few decades, and I guess there always has been. And you know, who am I or we to judge any of that stuff? But me personally, if a song doesn't really have something to say at the end of the day, like Michael brought in, you know, even the Swamp Thing represents mankind, you know, and
Yeah,
this
which
and
is
that.
really cool. Yeah,
we have something we're getting at, you know, and with Lock and Load and all that stuff. So those things are important to me, and I think us, that we do have a meaning, and there is something in there, even if you have to dig for it by listening to the song a couple of times, you know, it's, you know, we're definitely on the same plane, the three of us, in thought process of, you know, we don't really want shallow work, you know, where it's like, hey baby, you know, those are tight jeans, and, you know, I love your eyes and all this bullshit, you know. It's like, you know, fuck your eyes, let's talk about, you know, what you're really all about down deep, down in the soul, and let's go down to Vulture City and talk about you walking around in the streets of Hollywood.
I love Vulture City. I love that title. It's awesome.
Right on.
I really like that one. Now, the album ends on Save My Soul, and I love that keyboard line in the intro, which I would assume, Michael, you had a part in that.
Yeah. My hands were a part of that.
Your hands were a part of it. But then the song changes course when the verse hits, which is cool too. It just like takes this another turn, and you're like, oh, and then it kind of hits you, right?
And then it goes somewhere completely different in the middle section too. It gets really dark, and then it goes into a pattern of 9 in this before the solo, and it goes into the pattern of 9 at the very end.
That's cool.
That song, it's interesting you mentioned that song does jump around a lot and go through a bunch of different changes. You know, strangely enough, I thought, and it ended up at the last one on the album, that song worked really well for me. I thought it came out really good. That's a really good track. And if you're going to play one track off that album, I would maybe pick that song, because it has a lot of things that Desert Dragon does, but it's in one song. And Keith brought kind of a weird darkness to why he wanted, you know, the whole Save My Soul thing. There's a light and there's a darkness to it. And so the juxtaposition of how he sang and the lyrics against all the different musical changes really brings a nice musical story to follow in that song. And it's a great song. I like it. So.
It's awesome. Now, well, guys, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Moving forward with the release of the album, I know, Keith, you're very busy with so many things going on. Are there plans to do any live shows to promote the album?
I think that's going to depend on, as time goes by in the near future, how this new album for Desert Dragon has had previous albums with different incarnations, but I think, you know, as we put out videos for each single, you know, how we can build this thing and how many hits we're getting and where they're coming from, you know, is going to dictate a lot of how we perceive our own popularity amongst a certain group of rock fans that are out there. and hopefully some new groups of fans that we haven't connected with before. And, that may earn us bigger slots at bigger gigs than just us arranging, okay, man, let's do a weekend and play at the Whiskey A Go-Go in Hollywood and up at the Canyon Club or something. If we can stretch out and get on some bigger shows based on how much attention the record's getting, I think that's what we have yet to see. So we're right in the very beginning stages of this, getting it out, the first single, Lock and Load.
Yeah.
Which you can go check out. If you go to the website, www.desertdragonofficial.com, you can find the links to these things and to how to get the record, the whole record, if you want to do that.
And it's available on streaming as well.
Greg is going to send you a copy.
Spotify, all the normal ones. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. That's fantastic. Okay, well, guys.
DesertDragonOfficial.com, and all the Instagram and all the Facebook, all the links are on there as well.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of does that nowadays too, right? The Facebook, the Instagram.
Sure.
Twitter. Yeah.
Well, Facebook's almost a dinosaur now, but
Well, that's what they say. I'm told that my kids tell me that you're on Facebook. Why are you on that?
Right.
all you old people are still on Facebook.
Right.
I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm old, I guess.
Yeah. I'm growing moss.
That's right.
Next year, there'll be a new one.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And who knows what's going to happen with Twitter now that Elon Musk is taking that over.
Right.
So,
right.
There seems to be a lot of upheaval with that whole thing. So it's kind of funny. But anyways.
Well, maybe he can leverage himself a good loan off of the fact that he now owns that. So
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's a huge thing, right? So that's cool.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to say before I let you go? Just anything else you want to promote or anything like that?
Keith, you got anything for the Vegas thing?
Oh, some plugs. Yeah. I mean, you can come out and see me. We're just finishing a run of this rock show in Las Vegas called Raiding the Rock Vault, and it's different guys from different bigger bands and whatever, and gals, and we do sort of a history of rock and roll starting in the 60s from the Who and Hendrix, and then we get into the early 70s. We do some Zeppelin and Aerosmith, Kansas, et cetera, and it ends up in the 80s with Def Leppard and Van Halen and Bon Jovi and that stuff, and it's a nice little walk through time. There's video screens and narration, and then there's, like I said, there's different people from different bands who are in there and jamming it out. So I mean, look that up, Raiding the Rock Vault. We'll be back between Christmas and New Year's, and then second half of January they start 5 days a week again.
Wow.
I'm sure I'll be participating on some level for a certain amount of days. I've been doing 5 days a week for a little while. And then everything else, Burning Rain fans. We haven't scheduled another record, but I will be talking to Doug pretty soon about the possibility of maybe putting something together in 2023. It really depends on the Dead Daisies schedule.
Right.
Last piece of news is Blas Elias from Slaughter, the drummer, has stepped in for now in Kingdom Come for James Kotak while he's cleaning up some of his, he's had some health things that he's had to work on the last couple of years, and they've gotten to the point where it inhibits his touring and his playing. So he's got to go get better. And in the meantime, if you come out and see Kingdom Come on one of these weekend warrior gigs that we do, you get to see Blas Elias for all you Slaughter fans. So yeah, that's cool. All my stuff.
I actually got to see you with Kingdom Come at M3. What was that? 3 years ago now? 4 years?
Was that 2019? I think?
Yeah, I think so. Just before the shutdown of the world. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that was a fun show. A lot of good bands on that one, man. We had a good time.
Yeah, it was a great week.
Saw that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. It was awesome. It was my first M3. It's the only one I've been to. So I made the
Oh, right on. Man.
made the trek down from Toronto and
Yeah, I hope they keep that festival going forever. It'd be nice if I'd love to get this band playing a show like that. But
That
like
would
I
be
said, that's
awesome.
going to depend on our, what sort of fan group, and the fan groups are becoming more and more specific over the years.
Yeah.
So if you're in that M3 Monsters of Rock cruise, it was kind of Rocklahoma too, in that whole sort
That's
of
right.
circuit
yeah.
of those bands, and you have that following, then you can maybe open something up with those stages, but you got to make a little noise on the web first. So.
Well, it seems like the cruise is a little bit more open to other bands. Like, sometimes you look at the lineup and you go, "Oh, I don't know that band," which is cool. Right.
And a lot more cruises have popped up.
Yeah.
I mean, the powers that be have realized, let's do a few of these. Let's multiply our shows and
that'd be fun to do one of those.
Yeah.
and sell a lot more tickets that way by having a lot more cruises.
Well, it's funny because a friend of mine was just on a cruise and he goes, "Do you know this guy? There was a band playing on the cruise and it was this guy that used to sing in Gray White." And I was like, "Oh, was it the guy from XYZ?" He's like, "Yeah, that was it." I was like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, and I don't know if people even know that I mean, there's a whole band on this other cruise that, of those guys. And I think, I can't remember who else was in the band, but he said it was amazing.
I don't know what. It's funny because we did some ground shows at the. There's a bunch of different canyon clubs that Lance is the owner's name of the original Canyon Club, and we played a few shows at those. Kingdom Come did. I want to say it's less than a year ago, so maybe it was just this past summer. It all becomes a blur after a while. And it was in the summer. And Terry put a band together. The guy you're talking about, Terry Ilius, he put a band together as an opener, and they opened for us at those shows. And I'm trying to remember who the band was. I want to say maybe it was Sean McNabb on bass.
I think it was because I think he mentioned that. He said it was one of the Quiet Riot bass players was there, and so I think it was Sean McNabb.
Yeah, I think it was Sean, and now I'm blanking. I'm blanking on the rest. Oh,
the guitar player.
You got Greg, the drummer from White
Greg
Lion.
D'Angelo. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, Greg D'Angelo. I hadn't seen Greg in so long, and it was like a little reunion back there. So yeah, that was a fun night. I can't remember.
That sounds exactly like what that band was.
And a great singer. He keeps things moving at all times. And I see him around a lot.
Yeah, he's awesome. And I mean, I
realize he's in the scene a lot, and I'm just kind of popping in and out of it.
That's true. Well, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Likewise.
I wish you guys the best of luck with the album. I hope lots of people get to hear it because it's really good.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tyson, man. Let's rock this thing.
Right on, man.
Appreciate you having us on. Thank you.
Not a problem. Anytime. Hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right. Man.
Have
all
a great
your listeners,
You too.
local and worldwide, man. We will see you soon.
one. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Cheers, guys. Have a great night.
Okay. Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.